ओम पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते. So today we will continue on chapter 9 of the Bhagavad Gita. We will start from verse number 16 and then we proceed further. Now these four verses 16, 17, 18 and 19. These verses of this chapter, they actually explain what is Brahma and what is its extent and how it operates in the world. So these are very deep explanations of the operations of the world. So we will go into some details in each of these verses. So the first verse, verse number 16 is क्रतु मैं हूँ, यज्ञ मैं हूँ, स्वधा मैं हूँ, औषधि मैं हूँ, मंत्र मैं हूँ, धृत मैं हूँ, अग्नि मैं हूँ और हवन रूप क्रिया भी मैं ही हूँ. Now मैं means Brahma here. He is speaking as Brahma. And if you recall a similar verse, not exactly identical, but similar verse, had appeared in chapter 4, verse number 24. And I'll read that also because they are, quite similar in explanation. इस यज्ञ में अर्पण अर्थात श्रुत्वा आदि भी ब्रह्म है. हवन किए गए द्रव्य भी ब्रह्म है. ब्रह्म रूप कर्ता के द्वारा ब्रह्म रूप अग्नि में आहुति देना की क्रिया भी ब्रह्म है. उस ब्रह्म कर्म में स्थित रहने वाले योगी द्वारा प्राप्त किए जाने योग्य फल भी ब्रह्म है. So here and these two verses, they have similarity. Here what Lord Krishna is explaining, Kratu Mahu, the whole process of doing yajna. Now yajna is not a mere ritual. It's also what we see, the entire existence comes into play here. It actually shows the unity of the existence. We already discussed the word yajna earlier, that how yajna takes place. Yajna takes place when the two things meet and a third thing is created out of that. But it is also yajna when you have Soma and Agni. These two things have been described as Soma and Agni, that is one is cool and one is with Tej hot. And the two meet and the third thing is created. Like the sun rays and the water meet and the clouds are created. When again the sun rays and clouds meet, the rain and snowfall, etc. are created. Similarly, when a man and woman meet, a third child is created. So this is the process of creation, which is also explained in yajna. So he says that the whole process is me, yajna bhi main hu, jiske andar the whole process of creation happens, that is main, Brahma is that. स्वधा मैं हूं, जो भी कुछ उसमें डाला जाता है. औषधि here basically means the entire vanaspati, all the plants and herbs. This word aushadhi has been used in the past literature for all plants and herbs, because all plants and herbs have been described as aushadhi. And actually they have those properties of medicine which are required for our body, and that is why we consume variety of plants and herbs in the form of vegetables and fruits and certain other substances which are coming out of plants and herbs. So that is why they have been described as Aushadhi here also and in some other writings as well. Mantra mein hu, the whole the what you use there to describe the process or to pray to the Almighty, all that is me, all that is Brahman. Dhrat मैं हूँ, Agni मैं हूँ, Havan Roop Kriya bhi मैं हूँ. So what he is saying here is that whatever happens in this universe, in whatever form, that is all Brahman. There is nothing but Brahman. That is the substance of this whole verse. Yajna and Havan is happening in this universe all the time. All the time the creative processes are taking place. And there we use variety of inputs to process that thing, and whatever outcome comes is also Brahman. So this is what he says, that whole process which is happening in this universe in any form is Brahman, nothing but Brahman. Now this was also, as I mentioned in chapter 4, verse number 24, that was also in the similar context but not identical. So this is one explanation of Brahman, that whatever processes happen in this world, in whatever form and whatever input and output, that is all Brahman, nothing but Brahman. Now this will be explained further in verse number 17. मैं संपूर्ण जगत का धाता एवं कर्मों के फल को देने वाला पिता, माता, पितामह, जानने योग्य पवित्र ओंकार, ऋग्वेद, सामवेद और यजुर्वेद भी मैं हूं. Now this is very profound and explanatory. We must understand this properly. Dhata. What is meaning of dhata? The dhata word comes from dharma, and dharma comes from Sanskrit root dri. Dri means to hold. Like dharti, we call dharti because dharti holds everything on it, all the species of life including humans, and all the mountains and rivers and minerals, everything is held by dharti. That's why we call it dharti. Similarly, dharma. Dharma is the whole substance which holds us. When we are together, that is possible only when we are established in dharma. When we deviate from dharma, our entire existence becomes somewhat shaky. So dharma is the one which holds. So here Lord Krishna is saying that मैं जगत का धाता हूं. Dhata means I hold this entire universe. Like, let's take the example of a seed. A seed holds a tree in it. When you put the seed in the earth and it fructifies, then the roots of the seed are held. Those roots are not visible. They are holding the tree. Without the roots, the tree cannot be held. It will just collapse. Now the earth is holding the roots. So the earth is, giving support to the roots. Roots are supporting the tree, and then the tree is visible to us. So everything is being supported by dharma. Now that dharti supports the roots, and the roots are supporting the tree. And similarly, the dharma supports each of us individuals. Each one of us have some sort of, holding ground in ourselves. When we lose that ground, we become shaky. Then our whole, thought process becomes absolutely, stressful. That happens when we lose that dharma. Or we do not lose the dharma completely, but we become shaky in dharma. That is what happens. So dhata means that the Almighty is holding it. We may forget who is holding it. But as soon as we come out of that hold, then our existence becomes shaky. As soon as the roots try to come out of the earth, the whole tree will fall. So that is how the existence works, that it is held by the Almighty in every single respect. Let's take another example. For example, the waves in the ocean. Now, waves are held by the ocean. If the waves want to go out of the ocean, their existence will be destroyed. They will not exist anymore. There are no waves without the ocean. So similarly, there is no existence without the Almighty. So He is the Dhata. He is holding everything. He is the holder of the whole universe. Then He says, Pita, Mata, Pitamah. Now He is the father, He is the mother, He is the grandfather, and He is the great-grandfather. Now this explains that there is a continuity of existence. That is why in India, in Indian philosophy, we always say that Atma is eternal, because it is, I am a single entity. You can call me, I am existing today, tomorrow I will die. But the thing which is holding me inside, that never dies. That remains intact. Even modern science today says that nothing can be created, nothing can be destroyed. So I will be transformed after my death, but I cannot be destroyed. So the thing which is holding, how I am working, how my life works, because some life is holding me. That life comes from where? That life comes from the Atma, as we call it in our, Shastras. But whatever name you give, doesn't matter. You can call it consciousness, you can call it Chaitanya, you can call it by any other name. That is the one which is holding me. That is why I am talking to you, I am listening to you, I am understanding you, I am able to see you. So that is the holding ground for me. That holding ground is what you call Janak hai sansar ka. That is the one which gives birth to this world. If, for example, we trace our life, can I be existent without my parents? No. My parents will not be in existence without their parents. No. Then their parents will not be existent. So you can go back in time and you will find that is a large chain, infinite chain goes back in time, which brought me into existence here. And similarly, that chain will continue for the future in an infinite way. So the whole process of life, that is why he's saying that Mata bhi hu, Pita main bhi hu. If we had more words here, he would have said Pita main ka bhi Pita hu, unka bhi Pita hu. So this is the continuous process of life, which is held by the Almighty. That is why he is using this. And that is Brahman, which holds this whole entire process of life, birth, death. The life, as we look at life in this world, we look at birth at the place when we came in, death at the time when we go out, but that is not true. This is only one small part of the chain. The chain is infinite back in the past, and it will continue infinite in the future. The life will always continue. I will continue in some other form. I will not be destroyed. So this is what he says, that the whole process is continuous. It's a sort of flow of a river which is continuing, and I am the holder of that flow. So this is how this verse tells us what Brahma is. Then he says Pavitra Onkar. Now Onkar is a very profound discovery of our saints. The entire Mandukya Upanishad is based on explanation of Onkar. We already discussed that. Now what is Onkar? Onkar is, we discussed the word Anahat. We have we call it Anahat Chakra here. That chakra which doesn't, you don't feel any friction, you don't feel that it exists. Similarly, Onkar is anahat. Onkar, the sound of Onkar actually comes without any friction. It is the original sound of the creation. I remember when I was posted in Mongolia, there was a particular day when we went to in a deep forest, very deep forest. It was absolutely, what you call without any sound. It was deep silence. And you can hear in that deep silence the sound of silence. Now that sound of silence is actually Onkar. That is the sound which gives birth to this whole universe. That is also said in Rig Veda that the first sound that originated or the creation decided was Onkar. And with that sound, the flow of energy started and the creation process came into being. So when we go back deep in silence, we can hear that sound of existence in the existence and also in ourselves. Some people who go in deep samadhi, they will tell you that they can hear that sound of creation. If you go to some very silent place in the world where nothing, no sound is there, you can feel that sound of silence. That sound of silence is the sound of Onkar. In fact, the modern science has also agreed on this concept that there is a sound of existence which is operating. In fact, in Christianity, this Om is called Amen. They use that word Amen. And the Muslims also use similar word. So basically, this is the sound which refers to the deepest part of our existence, deepest part of the Brahma. So this is what Lord Krishna is explaining here, that Brahma is the Onkar, the birthplace of this universe. That is where the universe begins. Then he says that Rig Ved, Samved, Yajurved vi mahi hu. It means that entire knowledge. We know the Prajnanam Brahma. That is one of the Mahavakya in our Vedic literature. That the whole knowledge comes from the Almighty. In Vishnu Puran, this has been depicted how the four Vedas were created by the Almighty. And the knowledge came into being. The knowledge was given by the Almighty. So here he's saying that I am holding this whole universe. I am the flow in which the whole universe is flowing, from grandparents, great-great-grandparents to grandparents to parents to me and to my son, and to further down it will continue. This flow continues in that way. I am holding that flow. I am the sound of Onkar, and I am the knowledge. So all this has been explained in this verse. I here again like to tell you, I means Brahma, because he's not speaking as Krishna there, he's speaking as Brahma, the supreme power. Now verse number 18. This verse has fantastic words which are not easy to explain, but I'll try whatever I can. Gatir bharta prabhu shakshi nivasam saranam susruyat. प्राप्त होने योग्य परम धाम, दैट इज गति भृता, भरण पोषण करने वाला, सबका स्वामी, शुभाशुभ का देखने वाला, सबका वास स्थान, शरण लेने योग्य, प्रत्युपकार न चाकर हित करने वाला, सबकी उत्पत्ति प्रलय का हेतु, स्थिति का आधार निधान और अविनाशी कारण भी मैं ही हूं. Let me use these Sanskrit words here. Gati, the first is Gati. The whole movement in this universe is because of me. The second is Bharta. Bharta is that I am looking after, I am like Vishnu is the power which looks after the whole survival of this universe. So I am looking after the entire existence. I provide them sustenance to sustain their life. I provide them the life, I provide them the food, I provide them whatever is needed to survive. So that is Bharta. Then Prabhu. Prabhu means the supreme power. I am the supreme power. Shakshi, that I am not doing it. I am doing it. I am just looking at it. As I mentioned earlier in one of our talks, that there is a catalytic agent. His presence is enough. He doesn't have to do anything. Like electricity doesn't do anything in the refrigerator. The refrigerator automatically starts functioning as soon as the electricity is there. Similarly, he is Sakshi. He is not doing, but he is Sakshi. His presence is enough to perform all these activities. Then Nivash, that is the place where we live. Like the fish live in the ocean, we live in this world. This world, the whole existence is Brahman, and therefore this is our place to live. We are living in Him. Sharan, we go into His, we surrender to Him. That is the only place where we can surrender. The final abode, the final place of resting is Him. There is nothing beyond that. So He is the one who can provide us final abode, or the place to surrender. Or He is the one to whom we should surrender. Then Hit Chahane Wala. Suhrita. Suhrita means those who is, wanting you to be good. He looks after your welfare. He looks after your well-being. All that is He. Then Prabhav Pralaya Sthan. Prabhav Pralaya Sthanam. Now Prabhav is the origin from where the things originate, and Pralaya where they are destroyed. Now this is one thing which I would like to emphasize again, that in Indian philosophy and I would call it Indian darshan, because philosophy is a mental process. Darshan is an experience. Darshan comes out of individual's experience from a state of samadhi, from a state of meditation. And philosophy comes out of mental arguments and exercise. So these are two different processes. So ours is called darshan because it comes out of experience of the individual saints, and then they record their experience. So this Indian darshan tells us that the Almighty is also responsible for the birth and is also responsible for the death. The two opposites, which we look at them as opposites, they are not really opposites. They are two sides of the same coin. You cannot have head without tail. So though it looks duality, it looks cruel that the person who has given us birth is also our killer. It looks very cruel, but it is a fact of life. It's the fact of existence. And that is why Lord Krishna himself is saying here that I am the place, I am the responsible for the birth, and I'm also responsible for the overall. Pralaya means when you go back to the origin. The whole universe goes back to the origin. That is pralaya. So लय हो जाना, जहां से उद्गम हुआ वहीं पे लय हो जाना, that is pralaya. So it is not really a destruction. It's going back in the original form. That's what it means. Sthiti, in between the birth and the death is sthiti. Like we are now in sthiti here. We are holding our position here. So that is sthiti. That is also me. So the birth is me, the sthiti is me, and the final death is me. और इसका अविनाशी कारण, अब इसको थोड़ा सा I'd like to explain a little bit on this. You see, in Western philosophy, they always what you call segregated, good and the bad. Good is God and bad is Satan. So they say that Satan is responsible for death and all the evil, but God is responsible only for good. Now we say that there's no good and no evil in effect in this world. These are different manifestations. And all these manifestations, they are a continuous flow of life. In that flow, you are born, you are in a place sthit, and then you gradually decay and you die, and then again you are reborn. So we look at it as a cycle. They look at it as a linear point, that you are born, you move, and then you die. We look at it as a circle, as a vartul. So in this vartul, in this circle, in this cycle, the flow of life continues. The death is not something bad. Death is part of life. Death is a stage of life. And then the rebirth comes. So this is how they have looked at it. And that is why there is no contradiction there. We have actually resolved the duality and we have brought into uniformity. That this is a process, and that process was explained by Lord Krishna early in the earlier verse when he said Pita, Mata, Pitamah. So he could have gone Pitamah's parents and her parents and his parents and all that. That is all that flow of life is he. And that flow of life contains birth and death both. And that is what he is saying here, that मैं उद्गम स्थान भी हूं, मैं प्रलय भी हूं, और मैं स्थिति भी हूं, and I am the अविनाशी कारण, that is I am the eternal cause. I am a non-destructible cause of this whole universe. So here, this is a great explanation of what Brahma is and how Brahma operates in the world. So this is what we, these three verses, we have to look at them very carefully. Then verse number 4, verse number 19. मैं सूर्य रूप से तपता हूं, वर्षा का आकर्षण करता हूं और उसे बरसाता हूं. हे अर्जुन, मैं ही अमृत हूं, मृत्यु हूं, सत और असत भी मैं ही हूं. Now, he has gone beyond that in this verse. He has gone that I am the Amrit and I am the Mrityu. Very clearly expounding on it. That both death and immortality process that now they look very contradictory to us. Why? Or because the mind, human mind is always contradictory. A very profound statement. Now, Amrit, how can you be immortality and death at the same time? This is because the flow which I explained just now, it's a flow. In this flow, there are many processes, and the whole process is represented by him. Like the waves arise in the ocean and then they are destroyed, and then again they arise and then destroyed. The ocean remains unperturbed as it is. The waves keep coming and going, and they arise and then they collide and they are destroyed, and then again they arise and then they collide, they're destroyed. Similarly, there is a big process in this universe which is going on, which starts with the birth, and then we have this life, the so-called sthiti of life. We have this habitation, nivas here, and then we come to the end of it, and then the next chain starts, the next, what you call kadi in the chain, the next bridge starts, and there are infinite number of bridges which continue in the life. And that is why he says that I am Amrit and I am also the death. Then he says, Agni bhi main hu, Varsha bhi main hu. Now, Agni and Varsha, they look opposite. Agni is heat, Varsha is cool. When you have fire, you use water to, extinguish the fire. And you cannot have fire in water. So these are contradictions. They are apparent contradictions to us. But without fire, there cannot be any water. In fact, even modern science also accepts today. They say that the earth was a ball of fire in the beginning, and then it became cold and frozen, and the whole thing converted into water, and then the earth came into being. So the water and fire, they are related to each other. In fact, in the process of creation, which has been explained in the Upanishad, it says the first creation was Akash. From Akash, the Vayu was created. From Vayu, the fire was created. From fire, the water was created. From water, the earth was created. This is the process. So he is both, though they look contradictory to us, they are not. That is what he's explaining here, that these are not contradictions, these are the realities of existence. So the fire and water both are me, and I, Surya Roop mein tapta hu, that I come into this world and create the heat, and from that heat, the ocean water goes up, clouds are formed, and then rain happens. So this is what he's saying here, that whole process is because of me. And then he says, Sat bhi main hu, Asat bhi main hu. Now this is the ultimate of contradictions, or we call it, apparent contradictions. Sat means which is in existence, Asat means which is not in existence. Now how can they be two things can meet? They cannot meet. Either you are in existence or you are not. But he says, no, I am both the existence and the non-existence. It's like I am existent today. Tomorrow I will die, I will not be in existence. My whatever matter is, keeping me together will be dispersed in certain other ways. It will be destroyed. The tree is in existence today. Tomorrow you put the tree on fire and it burns down. It is no more in existence. So what is saying, that what appears like an existence and what appears like non-existence, both are me. There is nothing beyond me. Even if there is a non-existence, that is only an appearance to us. Now, why this happens? It happens because our mind has the tendency to divide things into two. The mind always creates duality and doubt. That is the characteristic of the mind. When you, for example, you like somebody, you immediately meet somebody like, soon thereafter the doubt will come, oh, this fellow, is he trustworthy? Is he not? I should check. I should verify his credentials. And the doubt comes immediately. So it creates a duality in our thinking process. That is why the duality is inevitable characteristic of our human mind. And that is why we look at things in duality. That either you are alive or you are dead. Now, there is no either or there. The either or is not in existence in existence. अस्तित्व में either or का existence नहीं है. In अस्तित्व there is only a flow. So this flow keeps moving. That is why we also say, in fact, a lot of saints have said that this Atma is as old as Paramatma. This is eternal as Paramatma is eternal. And this keeps flowing. So there are three things which come out, or four things which come out of from these four verses. One is that whatever existence we see is Brahman. And this is in unity. It is not segregated. It works in unity. In fact, the modern science in the form of ecosystem, they talk about ecosystem today. That ecosystem word comes from this unity of Indian concept, that whole existence is one single entity, and everything acts and interacts with each other and impacts everything else. Whatever I do impacts the rest of the existence, and whatever the existence does impacts me. So that reciprocal repercussions is constantly happening in this existence. So that is one thing, that Everything is one, and that is interdependent. Second, whatever appears contradictory, they are not really contradictory, they are part of the process. The process may be short, it may be long. For example, water becomes air, and then it goes into the sky and forms cloud. Now that water vapor, which becomes liquid, it's not in existence. But has it really disappeared? No, it has not disappeared. It has just changed its form. It has gone up, formed the cloud, and it will come back. So this is part of the process. There's no contradiction there. Similarly, death and birth are not contradiction. Existence and non-existence are not contradiction. They are part of the long chain of things, long chain of processes which are operating in this world. So this is the second thing which he is explaining. The third thing is that this flow is all the time under my supervision. That is why he has used the word dhata and mata, pita, pitamah. That I am the holding all these processes. I am the base, like the earth is holding the roots of a tree, or the roots of the tree are holding the tree. The seed of the tree is holding the entire tree. Similarly, the Almighty is holding the entire universe. And this flow is happening on that hold. That hold, like the ocean is holding the waves are taking place on the ocean. Similarly, the whole universe is, the Brahma is the rest, the whole universe on which all these flows are happening constantly. So this is the third important thing. And fourth important thing is that whatever he is doing as Shakshi. He is not involved in the process of doing. Everything is happening because of his very presence. Like, look at a building. The foundation of the building, we don't see it. It's hidden completely. But the building is resting on that foundation. Whether we see the foundation or doesn't matter. As soon as we take the foundation out, the building goes away. Similarly, the Almighty is the basis of this whole universe. My life is the basis of that power, which enables me to see, which enables me to smell, enables me to speak, enables me to walk. There's a power there. That power is the one which moves this universe. That power is the base of the whole universe on which this flow moves. So these 4 verses explain the Brahma and how it operates. Earlier also he explained some of these things, that how the action done by you impact your life and how your rebirth happens. This was explained earlier. And he also explained the time frame, that how the time frame works. The Yuga theory came in between how the Yuga operates and how the Pralaya happens after the end of the Yuga, and the universe goes back into its primitive form and then again appears and reappears. That process continues. So all this has been explained in great detail in these 4 verses. Some explanation, partial explanation had come before, but these verses give a very profound explanation. This is the deepest science of our existence, which has been explained in these 4 verses. It ends with the verse, Sat or Asat dono mein hu. The existence and non-existence both are me, which is the final ultimate contradiction in our mind, that how that can be. You can still reconcile with birth and death, but how can you reconcile that something is existing and something is not existing? But this is what the life looks contradictory, but it is not contradictory. It looks contradictory because our mind has the tendency to break things and see them in what you call cubicles. It doesn't see them in continuity. And that is what he's explaining here, that we should start seeing the life in continuity. We should see the dhata, mata, pita, pitamaya, everything should be looked at continuously. And that is what the life is all about. So I think these 4 verses are very profound explanation, in my view, of the whole functioning of the universe. And I will request you to read them once again, meditate on them, and it will become very clear that we are like bubbles, of small little bubbles of water in the ocean. We are nothing but these bubbles come and go and disappear and come back and then again come back and disappear. We are nothing. This ocean is this existence which is Brahman, this whole existence in which this water, bubbles appear and disappear. It is exactly in a way like on the TV screen, variety of films appear. We have a violent film, and you have a sport film, and you have musical film, and you have fire taking place in a film. Nothing affects that screen. The screen survives in fire and in flood and in sport and in emotional what you call outburst. It survives, everything remains no unaffected. Similarly, the Brahm remains unaffected. We, like bubbles, perform our activities, our play here, and we go back into the same universe, like the what you call the waves in the ocean. They play on the ocean and then they disappear in the ocean. So this is what he has explained. I think this is a very profound explanation, and I would feel that this is the greatest science of all sciences. Thank you.